Hi there and welcome to the Richie Allen Show in association with BeyondVision.tv and DavidIke.com. I hope you're well. It's Friday the 11th of December 2015. 2 weeks ago to the big day. Anybody with children must be an exciting time around about now. 2 weeks till Christmas. Lots coming up in this particular programme, including news of a new book which is just or will just be released by David Ike Books, my mate David Ike. He's not asked for any promotion of the book whatsoever. He really hasn't. But I'm going to do it anyway because I love Ike. He's got a new book out. I'll tell you more about that a bit later on. Loads to get through today. We might be a bit longer. We might run a bit longer than we normally do. But I saw something, this always happens, because you'll be getting this around about tea time, Greenwich Mean Time here, and we recorded in the early AM here in Manchester. Just one interesting news story on BBC News which caught my attention today and which is actually pissing me off. And the story says, the headline is, it's in London, man killed after Wood Green intelligence-led police operation. So a guy was shot dead by armed police in London. Not good, not nice, pretty horrible. Right, people are killed. You know what pisses me off? 2 lines into the story, it isn't terrorist related. Are we going to be like this now forever? When some guy gets shot dead, either by the police or by somebody else, that it isn't terrorist related? Are we going to be living like this? I'll tell you more about that a bit later on, because that's related to some stuff I'm going to tell you shortly. Wow. ISIS is making $80 million a month in the oil business. Yes, they are. With this man, Tayyip Erdogan, Ewing himself. Yes, it's a global scandal, but it is true. I spoke about this on the television show last week, and I'll say it again now. This week, the Iraqi Prime Minister Haider al-Abadi, hot on the heels of Russian President Vladimir Putin, became the latest head of state to call out Turkey on their double agent, double dealings. Watch Haider al-Abadi here.
Smuggling business.
We hope for international support to prevent terrorists entering Syria and Iraq and to stop Daesh smuggling of petrol, among other things, including Iraqi antiquities. Most of this smuggling, including that of terrorists, frankly, happens via Turkey.
And the terrorist organisation is making big bucks off the crude. According to new research, ISIL generates an estimated $80 million a month. And oil makes up 43% of that. The rest comes from confiscation, drug smuggling and donations. The White House has known about the terrorist oil trades for quite...
ISIS has a monthly budget. ISIS has a finance minister. I swear to Jesus, I was doing my radio show last night. Hayden, I was doing my radio show last night, right? And you know I take news at the top of the hour because I'm a professional radio programme. That's what I like to think anyway. So I take news, and in the middle of the news, Rebecca Foster from Feature Story News in Washington said that ISIS finance minister has made a statement. They have a finance minister.
Wasn't he just killed?
Oh, jeez.
Wasn't he just killed, though?
That's it. He was killed.
He was
That's
blown
the
up.
story.
That's it, yeah.
He was killed. And what the reason I didn't get the story, because I fell off my chair laughing at the idea that they have a finance minister.
Well, why wouldn't they? Yeah.
And that makes up 43% of their budget, their oil dealings with President Erdogan.
Well, they got a problem now. But the finance minister's dead.
The finance minister said, who's managing the books for ISIS?
Exactly. Big problems for ISIS.
We'll return to that. So the United States then knew for a long time, right, that their critically important ally, best friend in the region, Turkey, well, maybe the Saudis, but Turkey was supporting the so-called worst mass murdering barbaric death cult in history. So what the fuck were the United States doing in the meantime? Here's John Kirby from the State Department. Listen to him.
So long. I remember distinctly over a year ago when I was, instead of a suit, I was in a uniform speaking from a different podium talking about, in fact, showing video and images of oil heads, collection points that coalition forces, air forces were hitting. So this is not something we just started to focus on.
My question is why you didn't hit the trucks, the convoys, earlier.
we have not. It's not like we've never been focused on their oil revenue. It's something that we have constantly.
World-class obfuscation there. Do you like that, Hayden? Obfuscation. Answer the question, man. Why didn't you target the convoys? It's not like they're not visible, is it? Do you remember that film Convoy? Because we got a great big convoy. I've seen pictures. We might even have pictures. We might even have still images that will show you now or later on in the show of the convoys as taken by the Russian military. The reason is simple. There you are. Thanks, Hayden. We make this live, by the way, and I like to catch Hayden on the hop. That, Hayden, I think, is from a Russian warplane. That I'm pretty sure it is. I got that from LiveLeak.
Well, didn't they recently estimate that the Russian airstrikes, only about 30% of them have been on ISIS anyway?
Yeah, that's right.
The rest have been on other groups.
Other groups. Yeah. The four moderates. the four moderate men. So there's the convoy. And there's some amazing pictures because Russia did attack one of these convoys a couple of weeks ago and blew it to absolute smithereens. And then the Russians started screaming from the rooftops about Erdogan buying the oil. Thanks, mate. There you go. Because the reason that all of this is going on is quite simple, and it's what most ordinary men and women, when I say ordinary men and women, men and women who don't like programmes like this, don't want to fathom. They can't bear it because it'll keep them awake at nights. The United States and its allies continue to supply the barbaric death cult, Daesh or ISIS, with whatever they want to carry on their apocalyptic barbarity, while telling you and I is that they need to be eliminated and that they are hiding in secret cells in our countries while plotting against us. It's out in the great wide open now. You are living in dystopia. It's arrived. By the way, in other news, RT reporting this week, you might say they would do, all right, but I like the report. I think the report has credibility from RT that the Turks have been arresting and deporting Russian journalists, the ones who rumbled them over the oil trading. Yeah, oh yeah, arrest them, get them out of the country quick. We've joined in the carnage. We spoke about that last week at great length on this programme. As of last week, you know by now, we've begun bombing oil fields. Or at least that's what the Ministry of Defence is saying. I suspect, is that we are secretly bombing Syrian government forces. What proof of that do you have, Richie? None. I've no proof. But that's what the logical next step is, along with bombing villages, claiming that ISIS is being targeted, and that our smart weapons are going to minimise civilian casualties. Where have you heard that before? And thanks for that, Hayden. Look at that. That's what it is. That's the reality. That's what you do when you drop bombs in towns and villages. Using weapons fortified with depleted uranium. You kill people, you maim them and you poison them. Take a look at this BBC clip, which we haven't shown you before. We did get into Fallujah before. We haven't shown you this. About the rise in birth defects after the Allied carpet bombing of the Iraqi town of Fallujah. It's John Simpson for the BBC. Have a look.
The fiercest fighting happened here in Al Julan, and this is where the worst cases are found now. This little girl has 6 fingers on each hand, 6 toes on each foot. In this house, all 3 small children have serious birth defects. The 2 boys are partially paralysed. The little girl has brain damage. Their mother blames the Americans. Until there's a proper independent investigation, we won't know if she's right. But what's certain is that thousands of children in this place have been terribly, cruelly damaged.
That was an excellent report by John Simpson a few years ago. It was the only time it saw the light of day. Nobody else covered it, except Robert Fisk did. The wonderful Robert Fisk, who's been writing for The Independent for years, multiple award-winning journalist, who's been based in Lebanon, he's been based in, Beirut, of course, and all over the Middle East for years. That's the reality. That's what you do to future generations of people in countries when you carpet bomb them, which is what we're doing now, which is what we've joined in. We were doing it in Iraq. Look at that child there. You know, I don't have any children. Can you imagine is that your child was born with those sorts of problems and you as a dad and as a mum have to deal with that, knowing that the reason for that is an invading force, an imperialist force has come to your country and has done that to you. Imagine it. Imagine living with it. So you know what I say to all those MPs like Stella Creasy, Greasy fucking Creasy and others whinging about being trolled for supporting the bombing in Syria. You can see it there. Yeah, it's wrong to threaten people with physical harm. It's wrong to try and intimidate people. It's certainly wrong to say to people, I hope you die. But the vast majority of people are not saying that when they're tweeting Stella Creasy. They're saying, how can you sleep at night knowing what's going to happen to the children of the country that you've agreed to bomb? You know? But I said to Hayden Hewitt, and I think Hayden agrees, he can come in on this if you want, mate, they're not worried about the idiots who are threatening to kill people on Twitter. What they really want to suppress, mate, is debate, and they want to suppress opinions, and they want to suppress people like, not like me, nobody's suppressing me, but other people who want to say, well, this is the reality of war.
It's already well established, that, isn't it? We've had the speech from Cameron.
Yeah.
Sorry. The speech from Cameron regarding non-violent extremists. We're seeing people, there was that MP, I've forgotten her name, because I pulled George Galloway over it as well, that added the death threat to an email herself.
Lucy Allen.
There we go.
The Conservative Party MP, Lucy Allen, yeah.
And of course, when George Galloway pulled her up for it, saying, I reminded him that he did also threaten to close down.
Oh, Galloway's despicable, isn't he?
As you know,
I tweet the ultimate hypocrite, George Galloway. Yeah.
I tweet him regularly, never responds. It's
no.
a one-way thing.
Look, he hasn't threatened you. He threatened the barman, didn't he, in his last constituency in Bradford, who didn't like him, who tweeted out something pretty harmless. He basically said to him that he'd come after him, basically.
This brewery tweeted...
Yeah, a brewery.
They tweeted, is George Galloway still a thing?
Yeah.
Oh, when I get voted back in, you're going to be...
Yeah.
Oh, they're all the same.
I'll send the auditors round, basically.
They're all bent as a three-button note. And,
of course they are.
Adding that to the end of an email, it just goes to what they'd really love, and there's no way around this. This is no tinfoil thing. They would love to have a little more control of what people are allowed to say about them. And I don't mean death threats, because nobody should be making death threats.
Yeah.
But criticism is very uncomfortable. I mean, look at what they're trying to do. Take away our rights to privacy and freedom of speech, whilst getting rid of the Freedom of Information Act, ensuring they have more privacy.
That's right.
So you can see where this is headed.
Yeah, too right, mate. And we've got a screen grab here of Theresa May. This is a Telegraph headline from a couple of weeks ago, which extremists have to have Facebook and Twitter vetted by anti-terror police. This isn't new, of course, but when the Prime Minister says is that anybody who doesn't agree with the bombing is a terrorist sympathiser, well, that means pretty much everybody, because the vast majority of people in this country don't agree with the bombing. These are terrifying times, and we don't like fear porn on this particular programme. There's already evidence that the constant bombing and killing and maiming in Syria, the last clip was about Fallujah from years ago, is causing serious health problems in that country. Take a look at this from RT this week. It's heartbreaking, this.
People in Syria have been suffering from years of war and death, with Islamic State leaving behind a deadly trail of destruction across the country, with corpses being left out to rot in the open. A flesh-eating disease is now spreading across the country. Known as the leishmaniasis disease, it's transmitted by the bite of certain species of sandfly. The symptoms include painful skin sores and ulcers around the bite area, which can take up to a year to heal. They leave scars, and the disease can, if left untreated, be fatal.
As a result of abominable acts by ISIS that included the killing of innocent people and dumping their corpses in the streets, this is the leading factor behind the rapid spread of leishmaniasis disease.
There were 53,000 cases of the disease registered in 2012 across Syria. The figure for just the first half of the following year was 41,000. And last year, over 22,000 cases were reported in Aleppo alone. Doctors believe that the disease will become even more rampant across Syria.
Now, you see, using weapons sent or supplied by the US intelligence services and agencies, sent to the crazy jihadists, through Saudi Arabia and Turkey, and yes, Israel, whether we like it or not. Those kids with that truly disgusting and awful condition can lay the blame for it right at the doorsteps of our governments. But apart from Russia Today and the independent media, nobody is talking about that. You're not seeing that on Sky News or on the BBC. Leishmaniasis. Imagine it. Imagine it. This week, the weapon of mass distraction that is the mainstream media, while not focusing on the reality of warfare in Syria, has been preoccupied with this. Have a look. Yes, perennial goon Donald Trump had the media in orgasmic ecstasy this week after, as you can see there on a headline there, Trump calls for complete shutdown on Muslims entering the United States. The perennial goon, we're calling him here, as I said, having the media in ecstasy after saying this. I want you to have a look at this clip, though. This is interesting.
Donald J. Trump is calling for, now listen, you got to listen to this one because this is pretty heavy stuff, and it's common sense, and we have to do it. Remember the poll numbers. 25%, 51%. Remember the poll numbers. Okay, so remember this. So listen. Donald J. Trump is calling for a total and complete shutdown of Muslims entering the United States until our country's representatives can figure out what the hell is going on.
Now, you'll remember that he had previously called for a database to be set up. He didn't get too far with that. And now this. Now, some idiots in Britain drew up a hastily prepared petition to ban Trump from coming here. You might have a screen grab of the petition, actually. That makes sense, that, doesn't it? That you decried a guy for deciding that the best thing to do is ban all Muslims from coming to the United States. And you respond to a racist idiot by behaving like an idiot, by saying we have to ban him from travelling. The media have been all over it this week. They've had wall-to-wall coverage of it on all the main networks, debates, think tanks even, mass distraction, folks. So people don't learn any more about who ISIS is, where they came from. That's the petition, by the way, right there. I think, Hayden, it's gone over 500,000 now. 500,000 buffoons have signed it.
How can this be the most popular petition on
Madness,
change?
boy.
How can that be?
Madness.
People wonder why I tell them, don't bother with change. Just change.org, rather, any of the. Just leave it alone.
You will bother your arse to sign that, and you will ignore news this week that 1 in 4 British children are going to bed hungry.
Well, that's it, isn't it? We've got kids in this country with working parents who are starving. Through no fault of their own. The standard of our education's gone through the floor. Our national debt is spiralling. We're in a bad way, and what are we concerned about? Donald Trump.
This muppet.
Do you know who I couldn't give less of a shit about if I tried?
Yeah, Donald Trump. Yeah. The Donald. Now, we in the independent media have been saying for a long time that Trump's presence in the race is basically to not to put too fine a point on it, is to throw it to Hillary Clinton. I believe it passionately. And I hate to say it this week, there she is, there's the Clintons together. That's got to be a few years ago, that obviously. It's a safe bet that Bill went to bed with the woman on his left arm later that night. We have no proof of that, but we're going to say it anyway. Some of Trump's Republican competitors. Hayden is dying, by the way. You're dying, aren't you? You're dying. It's been a difficult...
I'm actually dead.
You're dead.
I'm currently
It's
dead.
the zombie Hewitt we have there in the background. I thought when you became a zombie, you lost the illness that caused you to become a zombie, no? Because you're the biggest zombie fan in the world, by the way.
I am, but perhaps this is just what it's like.
It's just what it's like. Fair enough.
If it is, guys, don't die. It's really shit.
Some of Trump's Republican competitors, those seeking as a Republican nomination, say it, Richie. Some of those seeking to become the president, they are joining in with us in the independent media because they see also that it is a conspiracy to throw the election to Hillary. Have a look at this clip, again, I think, from CNN.
Democrat Hillary Clinton.
Unbelievable.
Republican Donald Trump. Fierce front-running foes. But some say, hold on. What if Trump, with his polarizing style, is not running to win, but to split the Republican vote? Maybe Donald negotiated a deal with his buddy Hillary Clinton, Jeb Bush has tweeted. Continuing this path will put her in the White House. And Carly Fiorina?
Donald Trump is Hillary Clinton's Christmas gift wrapped up under a tree.
Trump is spending a lot of time attacking his fellow Republicans.
Marco is overrated. Lindsey Graham, Carly's record. Ben Carson. Cruz is going to have to hit me. Jeb Bush is so low in the polls, might as well go home and forget it.
That's primary politics. But conspiracy theorists say, what about this?
I was a Democrat for a period of time early on.
That's true. He's donated heavily to Republican and Democratic candidates. He hints he might run as an independent if he doesn't get the Republican nod. And while he savages Clinton now,
Hillary Clinton was the worst Secretary of State in the history of the United States.
listen to what he said before.
I just like her. I like her and I like her husband.
The Clintons attended his wedding, and their daughters, Chelsea and Ivanka, are pals, all of which drives the conspiracy crowd to wonder if a secret Democratic tunnel is being dug to the Oval Office.
This is a conspiracy. That's what this is.
Like in the Shawshank Redemption.
Big damn conspiracy! And everyone's in on it, including her.
And helping her? That would be very un-Republican indeed.
They even brought Morgan Freeman into it. They're laughing at it, CNN, and they're mocking the people who are suggesting it. Now, look, I don't want to associate with Carly Fiorina or any of the other idiots that are seeking the Republican nomination, but there's a lot of truth in it. Trump is a buffoon. However hateful and however dangerous the remarks Trump might make, and you wouldn't like to be a Muslim listening to those remarks, of course, or anybody else, but Trump is in there. He's a pawn. I'm thinking he's a knowing pawn. He knows it. He knows, in the grand scheme of things, it's all about getting Hillary Clinton, as my great friend Gerald Celente says, to get her elected. And of course, Trump is all about distracting people from finding out that their military is not in the business of targeting ISIS. In fact, it's in the business of targeting Assad's government forces to draw Syria into a protracted battle against the coalition forces there. That, my dear friends, is opinion, but it's what I believe is going on. Speaking of Trump and Clinton, the media creates the narrative that they're sworn enemies. They are polar opposites. Right? That's what the media tells you. It's nonsense. Howard Zinn said it so many times before. These people have far more in common with one another than they do with ordinary people like you and I. These people move in the same circles and they answer to the same paymasters. The hidden hands, the elite, the Illuminati. We have many names for them. Pick a name, choose it. That's exactly what it is. Hillary Clinton. We have a news story, don't we, about Hillary talking about Israel. We might have a screen grab, but we might not. If we don't worry about it.
I think we'll drop this one in afterwards.
We'll drop it in afterwards. She's been talking this week, Hillary, about when she becomes president, taking America's relationship with Israel to the next level. What the fuck does that mean? The next level of what? They finally admit. Is that what the next level is? That they finally admit that Washington is governed from Tel Aviv and they give Netanyahu the Oval Office? Is that what they mean by taking it to the next level? People are being played, folks, like the proverbial fiddle by the MSM, and it's time that they stopped and realised what's really going on. We're going to take a quick break here with the Richie Allen Television Show in association with BeyondVision.tv and DavidIke.com. Back in around about 2 minutes. And you're very welcome back to the Richie Allen Show in association with BeyondVision.tv and DavidIke.com. Couple of plugs here, shameless plugs for LiveLeak.com. Terrific. I can't say enough about LiveLeak and what it is. It's a wonderful platform, and it's as responsible as any mainstream, even though it isn't a mainstream news organisation, but getting information to people through the videos uploaded there by its members. It's a true monster. It's fantastic. Stuff that you'll never see in the mainstream media. Every Thursday night, Hayden Hewitt and the Live Leak gang present the Live Leak show there at 10:30 p.m. GMT. Do check it out. It's great. And I want to mention, of course, richieallen.co.uk. That's my website. All the information you need there about the radio show, richieallen.co.uk. It's been a long week. My old voice is getting the better of me, or else I'm just going out in sympathy with Hayden. Now, I want to tell you this. My great friend and colleague David Ike has a new book coming out which will be widely available in February of next year. It's called Phantom Self, How to Find the Real One. So it's going to be on wide sale or available widely from February. But David has got a few hundred copies, maybe a bit more, I'm not sure exactly what the number is, which have been printed early and will be available to order on davidike.com in the next few days. So stay with davidike.com to find out more about that. And anybody who orders one of the advance copies will have it sent to them in the first week in January, meaning that you'll have the book 3 weeks ahead of anybody else. So that's really good news. That stay with the Richie Allen radio show, and I'll tell you more about that next week as well. So good luck with the book, Ikey. It looks to be terrific. I can't wait to get my copy and to read it. Now, Home Office figures in Britain show a record 315 terror suspects were arrested in the year to September, up 1/3 on last year. This is driven in part by a major increase in the number of women and children detained. That's really interesting. The number of women arrested doubled from last year to 50, and the number of under 18s went up from 8 to 15. There was also a 31% increase in arrests for international related terrorism. But where are the charges? We're told even the threat is imminent. We're in mortal danger. They're arresting everybody and anybody, but they're not charging very many, if any. And what's with all the arresting of women and children? What's that all about? Well, some of those were arrested to prevent them from leaving and going to Syria. Bollocks! Prove it! We're not going to live in this world anymore, where you can tell us that we're in mortal danger and you're saving our lives every 20 minutes by filing another plot. So we should be grateful now and bow down and allow you to take away freedom after freedom after freedom. And like I said, this ain't fear porn. This ain't like some other programmes in the US trying to terrify you. We ain't trying to do that. They're trying to terrify us. We're saying don't be terrified. Don't allow them make you live your life like that. It's incredible. Jesus Christ, 315 terror suspects. Where's the arrests? 7 serious threats were filed this year that would have resulted in carnage in our cities. Where's the proof? Who was behind them? Some guy in Syria was manipulating them from Syria. Yeah? Well, surely people on the ground, if you filed them, where are they? Secret courts, we can't be telling you. It's madness, people. It's madness. I want you to listen to this. Waris Ali, he's a gentleman who was arrested when he was 17 for no good reason on suspicion of being a terrorist. Absolutely awful. This was Sky News this week. Hayden, play this. Have a look at this.
Your whole world is turned upside down. You don't understand what's happened to you. I mean, if I understood what's happening to me, I would have been like, okay, I put my hands up. I didn't actually understand what exactly they were trying to allege, even when they charged me. I just didn't understand. And at 17, you're not really thinking so methodically and calmly. Your mind just thinking all sorts of possibilities. You think you're going to spend years in prison because you hear all sorts. You hear of life sentences being given to people. they could find me unanimously not guilty, then why is it that the counter-terrorism unit agents who put me and my family through hell, who put me through prison house arrest, couldn't see that? I never asked for any compensation for them. All I asked for was an apology, and I didn't even get that. If I can't go to the mosque and talk about these issues, if I can't talk about it at the workplace, if you can't talk about it at university, if you can't talk about media, where exactly are people supposed to talk about these issues? Tell me, where exactly are people supposed to go?
Interesting that report that this week from Sky. Look, I contend, the real reason all these people are being arrested on flimsy and sometimes no evidence whatsoever, it's a numbers game. It's a numbers game. Targets. It's more than targets because it keeps people in fear, because it's reported on. The more people you arrest for nothing under the official Terrorism Act, that's a brilliant meme, that. 1984 wasn't supposed to be an instruction manual. David Icke has said that a million times over the years. When you arrest all these people, it gets written down, it gets put into a file, it gets reviewed, a journalist gets it and a journalist reports it. People shit themselves. But no arrests, no targeting of it, no charges, no convictions, no people put in prison. Because there aren't ISIS cells here, there are not. Are there Muslims in Britain who, given a chance, might like to do some damage to people? Yes, there probably are, there might well be. Is it a lot? I doubt it. No more than white Christian idiots who'd like to do unspeakable things to people. And the media is selling this around the world. Look at this from Fox News. Janine Pirro, Judge Janine, presumably at some stage she sat on a bench somewhere. Have a look at this.
Number 5. Get ready to give up some privacy. The metadata collection that was going on has been stopped. If that program were still in place, the feds could have taken the cell phones of those terrorist animals and immediately connected them to their contacts. You've got to arm yourself with knowledge. In order to confront the enemy, you must know who the enemy is.
And when people live in fear, you can sell them anything. More surveillance. Is the army on the streets? It's happening in the United States. If you look at that clip on Sky, on Fox News, on their own channel, you'll see at some stage in the beginning of that clip she talks about weaponising local police. She says weaponise them. What does she mean? They have guns and tasers. She means tanks and she means semi-automatic weapons. All to push us towards the end game of a one world government. That's what it's about, folks. How did you make that leap, Richie? I'm not going to explain it to you. I've been doing it too many times. Hayden, we don't have people like that anymore. We used to have Richard Littlejohn, a complete twat, and others like him, but we don't have people like that really, do we?
I think it's a shame. I think we need people like that.
Because with people like her on Sky News, more people might see it for what it really is.
Well, not only that, for all of our benefits. Sorry, there's people that agree with her. I want to know how they think.
Yeah.
We should hear everyone.
I think what you're saying is Sky News is selling that same fear porn, but they're doing it much more subtly.
Well, no one's innocent, okay? I mean, I know a lot of us in the alternative media side of things, like, fear porn from the mainstream media is disgusting. Fear porn. We'd never do that. Yeah, InfoWars.
Yeah.
Rammed it, wall to wall. Wall to wall.
Take these iodine tablets.
Yeah. The performance juice, whatever it's called.
Yeah.
Other sites.
We'll come back to this in another episode.
Other sites, the people we know and like, they're just as bad. I mean, we're incredibly guilty of this, right? If we it's very sensational. It's very good. That woman, chances are, if you took most of the higher ups at Sky, I don't mean Murdoch, I mean the guys operating that station there, they probably think she's mental. Completely.
This is the truth of it, yeah.
Barking.
A news network runs on the energy of probably a couple of hundred people. You're absolutely right, yeah.
And but
that's what they're selling to people, though.
Good value, though.
Yeah.
Great value. I mean, you'd love her as a guest.
We're talking about it. So there you go. Do you know what, Hayden? Before we finish up, mate, there's evidence, though, unfortunately, that it's working. We've got a screen grab from the Daily Mail this week, haven't we? It's, there you go. Police storm packed train after commuters mistake a passenger's umbrella for a samurai sword. And it's a good laugh, Dan. We had a good laugh about it this week. But this is what it does to people. Now, you and I are lucky enough in that we don't have to take mass public transit very often. But I'm guessing the people listening to Judge Janine, the people reading the Daily Mail, the people listening to ISIS are trying to kill us, they're inside our country even when they're not, they're nervous now when they're taking trains.
Of course they are. Anyone with a backpack with a dark
complexion. Yeah.
I mean, we've all done it. Years ago, when I was with my wife, who was then my girlfriend, went travelling in the Middle East. It was at the time of, I think, one of the intifadas or something. We were in Israel, we were in Jerusalem. Right, listen, we're not going to go on a bus. Of course, found ourselves on a bus. Then an Arab guy got in a thick coat. It was a very hot day.
Panic attack.
Sat right in front of me. And I just, do you know what? I've had it. What was probably sat behind was an Arab chap with a cold.
Yeah.
But at the time, he was the worst kind of suicide bomber.
I remember after the 7th of July, Caroline and myself were living here at the time, before we moved to Spain. And 2 days after the 7th of July bombings, even though, now you know that I believe that the 7th of July was a false flag attack. You know I believe that.
Yeah.
But even, and I did then, even 2 days later, because I saw the Peter Power video, 2 days later, even though I think it's a false flag operation, I'm on a bus coming out of the city centre in Manchester, and a group of lads get on, they're heading for the Curry Mile, they're Asian lads, Asian in appearance, probably the nicest lads you could possibly meet. I'm nervous.
Richie, here's the thing.
Nervous? For what?
But here's the real thing, dude, and this is very important.
Excuse me.
Whether it is terrorists with links to ISIS, or if it is a false flag, he's still dead.
That's it.
Some bugger's still killing you.
Well, that's exactly it.
That's why all the best fear is not completely unfounded.
Right, mate, we're going to leave it there this week. Thanks for your help with production. That was this week's Richie Allen Show in association with BeyondVision.tv and DavidIke.com. Do stay with BeyondVision.tv. Check out DavidIke.com, and for his new book and all the info on it, go to, as I said, DavidIke.com. I will leave you and love you. We're back next Friday for the final show of this year. Until then, look after yourself and take care of one another. Bye for now.